What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Season 20 of Hitting the Fields. I'm your brand new host, Nick Cohen, and I'm very excited for this season, but not only this season, this first show as well, because we're talking about my two favorite sports, the NFL playoffs, specifically the divisional round, and we're going to do a midseason update for the NBA, and then I'm going to rant about a specific team, but you'll just have to stay tuned for that. Don't go anywhere, because Hitting the Field starts right now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
And welcome back. As I mentioned about 2 minutes ago, we're talking about the NFL playoffs. Joining me to my left is Elijah McClary, as always, doing awesome. And then to my right is Andrew Gregg, my former co-host of Bets, but normally he's over there. What are you doing here?
So I decided to take a little bit more freedom on main show and just decided to switch over. Want to see how this side feels. So it definitely a little bit different from Bets, but
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here.
We love changes. So we're just going to jump right into it. This first divisional game is going to be the Rams at the Eagles. Okay, now I have kind of a bold prediction. I've seen some people saying that the Rams will win. I agree with that. I don't know if that's too crazy, okay? The Eagles are a really good team. They are the 2 seed. They had a 14-3 record, went 9-3 in their conference, and even better, they put up 27.2 points per game and only allowed 17. So, you know, you might be wondering, like, well, how on earth could they possibly lose this game? I don't know, man. The Rams look so good right now. Their rookie draft class is just insane. Their defensive line is really good with Jared Verse and the rest of the FSU guys and Kobe Turner and Byron Young. That defensive line is looking really good. And, you know, we'll have to see. Maybe they can lock up Saquon. They could really just stack the box. And when I say lock up, I don't mean like absolutely shut him down. He could very easily still go for 100 yards, but not 200. Remember, Saquon got 2,000 rushing yards on the season. So, and also the Eagles have Nakobe Dean injured for this game, their linebacker. But the Rams also have Tyler Higbee, who will be out for this game. So that matchup will kind of be eliminated. And I just think that Puka and Cooper Kupp are going to eat the Eagles' secondary. So that's kind of my bold prediction, that the Rams might win this game.
I'm cool with it.
Cool with it?
Yeah.
Disagree?
No, not cool with it at
Oh,
all,
boy.
unfortunately. I won't spend too much time here, but I just think that the Eagles are the significantly better team. I will say that I said the same thing about the Vikings on Bets on Monday.
did.
And the Vikings ended up being destroyed by the Rams. But different environment. The Vikings were a good team, but the Eagles routed off essentially 11 straight wins during the middle of the season. They're just one of the best teams in the NFL, so I just don't see it happening.
I will say, I wasn't super confident in picking the Rams here. But something about him, and just Matthew Stafford is so experienced and so good, and, you know, we'll just have to see. That game is going to be this weekend. We are all going to be watching it. But the next game, Elijah will be talking about the Ravens at the Bills. I think the most exciting game. Take it away.
Absolutely. So this is America's game of the week. This is the battle of the MVPs. This is possibly the most hyped divisional round game in recent memory. Now, it is probably official that Josh Allen is going to win his first MVP, while I foresee Lamar Jackson not letting that slide. September 29, 2024, otherwise known as Week 4 of the NFL, the undefeated Buffalo Bills went into Baltimore. They had a losing record at that time, believe it or not. The Ravens steamrolled the Bills that night, 35-10. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be another one of those games. Obviously not. It's the playoffs now. But one thing I wish the NFL would do is push the deadline of MVP final voting back from January 8th to Pro Bowl time. Because when Lamar goes into Allen's home Sunday night and beats him, and not only beats him, but outplays him, that would be what puts a nail in the coffin on the voting. But instead, it's going to go to the guy with the lesser stats, and the guy who not only got beat by the runner once, but twice, both in primetime games on the same season.
So, Ravens winning that game.
Ravens win.
Okay. I don't hate it at all. Do you?
I will say that I have a little bit of bias because
Yes.
when we
Yes.
preview our Super Bowl picks, I will get into both the Ravens' chances and then also the chance of the Bills making it. But I don't hate it. Like I feel like if anyone tries giving a strong opinion either way, they'd be a little bit incorrect. Like this game could definitely go either way. The Bills have proved a lot throughout the season, and then also the Ravens are one of the best like offenses that we've like seen this season. And then also again their defense is always a bit of a stalwart. So.
Well, so real quick, before you get into the game you're going to talk about, because we are both Dolphins fans, if this is your first time watching a Hitting the Field Network show, the Bills, we never want them to succeed.
Yep.
But also on the same token, like, if the Bills do succeed, and let's just say they win it all, then maybe their dominance can just stop, like end there. They can be happy. So I'm a little conflicted when it comes to this game. I don't know about you. I still don't want to see them succeed, but
I feel like as a Dolphins fan, it kind of justifies us constantly losing to them if they're like one of the better teams in just all of football. It's not like we're just being beaten up on by like one of the worst teams in the NFL, but instead it's the Bills. Like everyone loses to the Bills except for maybe the Chiefs and a couple other teams, but the Bills are week in and week out just one of the better teams in the NFL. And then if I can segue from the Bills
go right to it.
To the Chiefs, which again, like 15-2 on the season, what can you say about the Chiefs? They're just one of the best team in the NFL. It's
debatably, but like it's close.
It's debatable, but tied for the best record in the NFL. And then obviously Patrick Mahomes. They had Kareem Hunt, who performed well this season, 700 yards from him. And then with Isaiah Pacheco coming out, he is able to get back into the lineup the last couple weeks of the season. And then obviously rushed for not great performances, but at least they got him back into the rhythm. The Chiefs and the Texans are the game that I wanted to talk about, though. And probably the least exciting of these matchups, the Texans just shut down the Chargers, and it was a little bit of a surprise. They were underdogs at home in that game, and their defense really stepped up. Obviously, C.J. Stroud had a good game. Nico Collins was one of the best receivers in the NFL. So just a variety of different stars that you can look out for in this matchup. And again, the Chiefs are always must-see TV. I feel like even though their games aren't always the most exciting, they are like some of the closest games in the NFL, which makes them towards the end of the game. It makes it so that you can either talk about the Chiefs' devil magic or you can talk about how the refs screwed somebody up. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Chiefs in this game. The only real justification I have for it is Patrick Mahomes.
Well, and Travis Kelce comes alive in the playoffs.
Yeah. I will say Travis Kelce is a different animal in the playoffs. The last maybe 1.5 regular seasons, he hasn't been that guy. But looking into the postseason, he's always
100%. Yeah. So I was going to ask you, Elijah, as our only resident Chiefs fan, do the Texans have any shot at this?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely they have a shot. If they're playing in the game, they always have a shot. But I would lean towards Chiefs if you're betting. 100% Chiefs.
Okay. So, talking about the Texans, I did have them going to the Super Bowl in my way too early preseason thing. It's still alive, okay? Some other people can't say that. Some people who may have had other teams that were eliminated, like the Bengals, didn't even make playoffs. But the opponent I had for the Texans was the Detroit Lions, and they play the Commanders. They host the Commanders this weekend, and I think the Lions are going to take that game. The Lions had a 15-2 record, like Andrew mentioned. They were tied for the best record in the entire league, and also the Chiefs, who had the 15-2 record, they lost the last week of the season because they rested every single starter. So technically, Chiefs could have had a better record, but Lions 15-2, 11-1 in their division, and it's one of the most difficult divisions in football. Against the Commanders and Jaden Daniels, Offensive Rookie of the Year, who led the Commanders to a 12-5 record, 9-3 in the conference, which a pretty tough NFC East. Obviously, Cowboys and Giants weren't there this year, but the Eagles. The only difference is the Lions have been scoring 33.2 points per game this season, opposed to the Commanders only 19. And the Lions give up 20 points per game, opposed to the Commanders 30. So just very simple math, Commanders should lose this game, and I think they will. I think the Lions will swarm Jaden Daniels, absolutely contain him, and Lions and Jahmyr Gibbs are just going to go off in this game. I think could be high scoring, but I'd say that's the lock of this playoff weekend.
And David Montgomery's back, too.
He is back. That's a great point. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
But we're going to move into our Super Bowl predictions. Now, Elijah and I have the same prediction, so I'm just going to let you take that over. I mentioned the Lions. Now, I did go back on my preseason pick, like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, of the Texans. I think they might lose to the Chiefs. However, secretly, I'm still pulling for the Texans.
Of course.
Why do you think it's going to be Chiefs-Lions?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be Chiefs-Lions. Obviously, the Chiefs are chasing the three-peat. They've had the biggest targets on their back for almost 3 years now, and they've still been succeeding. They've played almost a year extra worth of football than any other team because they're consistently going long through the playoffs. And the Lions, this is crazy to think about. This is the Lions' best team in Lions history, the greatest Lions team ever.
By a mile.
So if the Chiefs-Lions play a Super Bowl, I think 99% of the country would be pulling for Lions versus the team chasing the 3P. That would be the best Super Bowl we could get.
Absolutely. However, Andrew, you have two totally different teams. Who are they? Why?
The best Super Bowl we can get. I agree to disagree. I really like the Bills and the Eagles in this year's Super Bowl. I will say the factor I was talking about before, Patrick Mahomes, it's like the great equalizer. I'm not going to be shocked if the Chiefs make it, and I also won't be shocked if the Lions make it. But I think that the Lions have gotten a lot of media attention, and just in general, everyone's talking about them. They've been the team to beat since maybe week 7, week 8 in the NFL. Everyone's proclaimed them as the team coming out of the NFC. But the Eagles have the better defense. They score a bunch of points per game. They have the Saquon Barkley, who is attacking a record that hasn't been touched in 30-plus years. Obviously, one of the better offenses in the NFL. So I don't see that there's anything that the Lions do better than the Eagles, I will say, because their defense is significant. Like, the Eagles have the best defense in the NFL this season. And then offensively, they have A.J. Brown, they have Devontae Smith, they have Jalen Hurts, they have Saquon Barkley. Like, I think if they match up, the Eagles can pull it out. And then the Bills, we'll see about that. It's Bills-Chiefs for me.
Definitely the two most annoying fan bases in the country. But it would be an interesting game, I can admit that. But that is all the time we have for this segment. Thank you guys very much for coming on. We'll have to have you back in a week. Not next week. It is a holiday, so we won't see you. But we'll have to have you back for an update. And after this commercial, we will be talking about the NBA, so don't go anywhere.
And you can be a part of such a team through SIMTY at UCF. You'll join a team of students just like you who are ready to innovate the future of TV and film.
With SIMTY at UCF, you'll be able to connect with local industry pros, learn about new technology in the industry, as well as get backstage experience that really matters. Join SIMTY for a backstage pass to all of this.
We meet every last Monday of the month for our general body meetings. There, we discuss how new technology is being used to create new media, and we get to highlight local professionals and their specialties.
On top of that, we have some site visits planned, so tune into our social media to be notified of when those will happen.
So if you're ready to pull back the curtain and find out what really happens behind the scenes, join SIMTY at UCF.
All right, and welcome back. Joining me to my left is Jan Perez. To my right is Augie. How are you doing, Augie?
I'm doing great.
Absolutely. And Jan?
I'm doing fantastic.
Awesome. Good vibes here. So we are going to be doing a midseason update for the NBA. You know, it's been an interesting season to say the least so far. Each of us chose, one of us chose a most surprising team. One of us chose a most disappointing team. And then one of us chose our too early NBA champion predictions. It's not too early because it is mid-season, but you get the gist. We're going to start with Jan. Who did you pick for what award?
I chose most surprising, and the team that most surprised me so far through the midseason has been the Rockets. Last season, they were, just sitting at 500, 41-41, 11th in the West. But this season, they have been balling out, second in the West, 27-12 currently, second in the West. 113.6 points per game, first in rebounding. Their top guys, Jalen Green, Alfred Sengun, Freddie, Amen Thompson, they've been balling. And Ime Udoka has had these young cats playing their butts off. Last night, they beat the Nuggets, the 2023 champs, 128-108, not even a close game for that matter. They look very, very electric. Jalen Green had a fantastic performance with 34 points. Sengun 29-8, just dominating. And guys like Steven Adams, the vets that they've been bringing, have really rounded this team out. Because last season you could see that these young guys needed some direction, some place to really go. They had good stretches, but then were very fluky at times. So this team has really come together this season and has surprised me, and I think most of the NBA, to be honest.
Absolutely. Any thoughts on that, Augie?
No, yeah, I think it's a great take. I mean, this team is really, I think, overachieved from what I think everybody thought they would be. And Jalen Green's really taken a step up. And, I mean, the whole Rockets team, I think, has just gotten way better. So I really like your take on that, actually.
Absolutely. Go right ahead into the most disappointing not award, but dishonor.
Yeah, so I'm actually doing the complete opposite, and I know Nick and I are actually very thrilled with this team doing bad, as we're both Heat fans. But my team is the Philadelphia 76ers. This team has been terrible. There's no other way to put it. In their last 10, they're 3-7. They're on a 4-game losing streak. They lost last night to the Knicks. They're sitting at 15-24. They're 19 games back, and this team is just terrible at basketball fundamentals. They're like last in rebounding. Josh Hart, who's 6'4", had 17 rebounds last night for the Knicks. He had a triple-double, but he had 17
crazy.
rebounds. Jericho Sims had 4 offensive rebounds on 1 possession. But this team cannot rebound. They're dead last in assists. This team is pretty much last in all offensive categories. They're 25th in offensive rating. They're 24th in three-point shooting. So this team's just not that good. And they play a little bit of defense. They hustle. They have some effort. But they're just old and slow in some positions. And then, obviously, Joel Embiid. Where are you? Where on earth is Joel Embiid? The only time I've heard of him is when he shoved the reporter. That's it. He's missed 26 games. They played 39.
Yep.
And he's missed 26 of them. And, I mean, when he has played, his points have gone down by 10 a game. Wow. Yeah, and Paul George, too. Paul George did have a good night last night. Looked like old Paul George a little bit. But, I mean, this team's just not been doing good, and they got to figure something out. But, really, they need to get healthy.
It's almost like they should, like, trade Joel Embiid
Maybe,
to, like, the Heat for, like, Kevin Love
or maybe get a new medical staff.
Yeah, that
something,
could do
because
it.
something's got to change.
Embiid might just need a change of scenery.
Yeah,
I think that could be what it is.
That, too. But, to me, their only bright spot was Jerry McCain, and even he's out for the rest of the season with a, torn meniscus?
Yep, R.I.P.
So, yeah. They need a new medical staff or something in Philly because something's got to change.
Absolutely. Maybe it's too cold. I don't know. But so
in an indoor stadium, it's too cold.
Well, but Philadelphia.
Maybe.
Maybe. Up
Yeah.
too much.
Maybe they all just like walk to the stadium. Maybe they don't. Have
Maybe.
cars. I don't know. I'm going to move on to my 2 early NBA championship predictions. I have the Cavs, okay? The Cavs are a spectacular team right now. They are sitting at a 34-5 record. They did lose to the Pacers on Sunday, but that was their first loss in like a month. They were on a really long winning streak. They beat the Thunder a couple of days ago, last week actually, and they do play the Thunder tonight, so that's going to be a very exciting game to look out for. But this team leads the Eastern Conference in their record. They lead the NBA in field goal percentage. They're second in points per game at 122 points per game. And their defense is really good at a 110 rating, which is 8th in the NBA. And they have great depth as well. Darius Garland, starting point guard, is having an amazing season. Backing him up is Karis LeVert and Ty Jerome. And like that's great depth. Donovan Mitchell is there. Dean Wade is there. I don't know. Evan Mobley and obviously Jared Allen. That 2 big man like thought is just it's playing so well. I wish the Heat would replicate that.
God, we need
with
a
Bam
five.
Adebayo.
Yes, no, it's
and
perfect.
Kello
They're doing it
Ware.
perfectly.
What are we doing?
They're not Jared Allen and Mobley. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
but
They're
Speaking
not
of you
Jared
guys,
Allen
they got
and
Max
Mobley.
Strus.
Yep.
I know we both love Max Strus.
We do. Yep. The Strus is loose. Like we don't know though if they could be Mobley and Jared
don't
Allen
think so.
because we haven't seen it.
Mobley was supposed to be Kevin Garnett and Jared Allen. I don't even know what his comp was, but there's no one on the Heat that could actually compare to Jared Allen. I'm gonna be honest.
Whoa. Kello Ware's a rookie. He's played like
No, he's good.
He's
really good. And he's athletic.
He's athletic. He can shoot
Yeah.
threes.
I like him if they both put him at the court at the same time.
I'm pretty sure he's our first 7-footer since Hassan Whiteside.
Oh boy, that was what, 10 years ago?
Yeah. I had his jersey. I had his Christmas jersey.
No, that one
Shout
season
out.
of Hassan Whiteside was legit.
Yes, he averaged like 3 or 4 blocks. Like.
Yeah, but no one's in the Heat right now. So like, if you are, doable to be a starter on most teams, you'll shine in Miami. So I have
That's
to
fair.
really see him play with a good system for me to say, oh, I can actually trust in this rookie right now.
That's very fair. I did have one question for you guys, though. Okay, so I chose the Cavs as my championship prediction. Okay. There are some other teams. I want to know if you disagree. What other teams might deserve to be in that spot? We have the Rockets. We also have the Thunder, who are sitting at a 33-6 record. And then also, I do not want this to happen at all.
I know where you're going. You don't even have to say it.
But the Boston Celtics, my least favorite team in the world, 28-12 record right now. They're still very good, but they're not the Cavs. So Jan, I'll start with you. Who do you think is going to make it to the championship?
I'm not going to lie. I would have to say Oklahoma.
Okay.
They've looked good the whole season. This team is very young. You know, last season they were fantastic. Now going into this season, like they've just kept that momentum going. I'm very excited to see them play. You know, guys like Shea could be the MVP this season. You know, J-Dubs has been hooping, and I know because I got him in fantasy.
Okay.
The team is just fantastic. Honestly, like I don't really see them losing now when it goes to the playoffs because the team is so deep, and they don't even have Chet Holmgren. That's something that a lot of people are just forgetting.
Well, I saw
have their big
something.
man.
I saw a graphic today that compared the Celtics and the Thunder. Each of them have a Jalen, and Jalen Williams and Jalen Brown.
Thunder got 2 of them.
Yeah. Each of them have a Derek White and Alex Caruso. Each of them have a tall, lanky, white big man, Chet Holmgren and Kristaps Porzingis.
I love Porzingis.
Like,
the Heat needed him
and there was
bad.
like 2 other things that I can't remember, but it was you know, a really good comparison. Real quick, do you agree with the Cavs or do you think a different team?
I honestly like the pick, and as much as it's going to kill me, like, unfortunately, I do think it's Boston, though. I just think they're so good.
That's fair.
And, like, Porzingis and Tatum and Brown, as much as I would love to see Cleveland make it,
Of course.
I do think it'll be Boston again because I just think they're just legit and they're ready, and they've already got the experience now. So I think it's unfortunately going to be them.
Very valid. I hope you're wrong. That is all we have for the NBA on this segment, though. We will certainly have you guys back because we have a long season ahead of us. After this commercial, I'll be ranting about a team. Don't go anywhere. I guess the crew's getting ready for the next segment on one of our amazing shows. I'm Nick Cohen, host of season 20 of Hitting the Field, and let me tell you about those amazing shows. On behalf of HTF, we hope you're enjoying today's content, but I'm here to tell you about everything else we offer here at the network. Mondays at 4, HTF Bets goes live for season 10 with 3 gamblers that, although it may not always seem like it, are here to help us all earn a little bit of extra money while we watch sports. Diego Ortiz, Tyler Brownrigg, and Andrew Gregg's ball knowledge and fun personalities make this show a fan favorite. On Tuesdays, you all loved it, so we brought it back for season 2. It's Girls Got Game, hosted by Frankie Noble, a show blending women in sports, the biggest sports news stories, and creative segments that make for a fun and engaging show. Next is everyone's favorite sports podcast, The Combine, hosted by who other than Ty Patton, an easygoing, conversational, and technical podcast dropping Wednesdays, also on Spotify at The Combine. Then tune in Thursdays at noon for the network's main show, season 20 of Hitting the Field, hosted by me. Here, we'll cover any sport, any topic, any story, no matter how obscure. We love some football, basketball, hockey, F1. We also cover baseball, soccer, and we even have to show the UFC love sometimes. Penultimately, TGIF, because Friday is nighttime, hosted by Kathleen Moore and Matthew Bracker. Season 8 of Nighttime is where you'll turn to for all things March Madness, UCF sports, and other collegiate events. We're ending with something brand new. HTFN has never had 6 shows running at once. Also filmed in our new podcast studio is HTFC, hosted by Edgar Rodriguez and Patrick De Leon. Football, or soccer in America, is the most popular sport in the world. Across multiple leagues and cups, soccer is a year-round sport, and HTFC is your news source to stay updated. Also on Spotify, by the way, at HTFC. Outside of our 6-show roster, be sure to tune in to our other content, such as the Studio Days vlog, run by our vlog squad of Brianna St. Jean, Michaela Croker, Ashley Rowe, and Ben Huber. Make sure to follow us on our social medias like Instagram, Facebook, and X to stay updated on all HTFN news. Remember to subscribe right here on YouTube, leave a like and comment, and with that, I think we're ready for your next segment. I'm Nick Cohen. Thank you for your continued support, and back to your regularly scheduled programming. Welcome back to segment 3, the signature rant on Hitting the Field. I'm going to be ranting about my favorite team, the Miami Dolphins. And ladies and gentlemen, the Miami Dolphins make me sad. We never seem to do things right. And so, let's start with our draft history. In 2020, we drafted Tua over Justin Herbert, Austin Jackson over Justin Jefferson, and Noah Igbenogany late in the first round over numerous second-round steals like T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., Xavier McKinney, Jonathan Taylor, Antoine Winfield Jr., Jalen Johnson, Trayvon Diggs, Jalen Hurts. I think you get the point. I know that's only 1 year, and teams like the Raiders have a worse draft history, but to have 3 first-round picks, and I don't really know if you can walk away thrilled with how any of them turned out, is pretty rough. Next, injuries. We're always injured, right? Why is that? We live 20 minutes from the beach. We have a top-tier strength and conditioning staff. Yeah, well, I don't really know what's wrong. Tua suffered his 5th concussion, and going back to the Justin Herbert thing, I genuinely really like Tua, and I've always said that, and I still believe in him for the future. But like when he got that concussion against the Bills early in the season, when I was at that game and shed a tear, I called for his retirement. Not out of hate, but for his safety and well-being, and so he can live the rest of his long life happy and not confused all the time with CTE. He didn't retire, of course, and came back pretty strongly. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, our 2 edge rushers, Jalen Waddle, all missed a good amount of time this season, along with plenty of other players. Our offensive line was a revolving door as usual, but shout out to Ron Armstead for ultimately being really healthy this year. Not many bright spots except for Devon Achane. Free agent tight end signing Jonnu Smith breaking pretty much every Dolphins tight end records. And then our defensive line was pretty nice. Besides having Chubb and Phillips out the whole year, rookie Porkchop Robinson, vet Calais Campbell, fan favorite Zach Sealer, and Emmanuel Ogbah held it down pretty good. We finished 8-9 and missed the playoffs. But I'm not even mad about that because now we have the 13th pick in the draft and we wouldn't have made it very far in the playoffs anyway. However, it's some of the decisions made after the season that ended making me the most upset. Tyreek Hill is one of the most immature players in the league by a mile. He skips practices to live stream on social media and make guest appearances at his store, which is fully staffed, by the way. He's not needed. He plays Fortnite all the time, which same, but the difference is I don't make $31 million a year for my full-time job. Years ago, he left the Super Bowl winning Chiefs for more money, and Miami gave him that, but now he wants to get traded because he didn't make the playoffs for the first time in his career. But bud, you're coming off a career worst season, and for the most part, it's your fault. I understand Tua was injured for a handful of games and you were left with Snoop Huntley, but there's so much film of you dropping passes this season. You haven't played like a playoff receiver, plain and simple. Apparently ownership talked with him and he's not going to request a trade, but I look forward to seeing that he does in about 4 days. Ownership also decided they're sticking with Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel. Grier is the general manager behind those poor draft picks and all of our poor contracts. Mike McDaniel isn't a good head coach. He's like a pretty good offensive mind, but he's one of the worst team leaders I've seen. I'm pretty sure Adam Gase had better control over his players. McDaniel is extremely immature. Defenses figured him out last year. He calls the same screenplay every 3rd down, and it fails. And he's not media trained still, after all these years in the spotlight, even back to his San Francisco days. If I was the transcriber in Dolphins press conferences, I would have quit my job after my first Mike McDaniel press conference. Finally, it's the offseason, and I don't have to worry about us losing anymore, but we'll still probably find some ways to take some figurative L's. I'll keep you updated this semester, but that is all the time we have on Hitting the Field today. I did make a mistake earlier in the show. You will see us next Thursday. We will not have any shows on Monday, so you'll see us Thursday. And then make sure to stay tuned on ESPN Plus this Saturday. We're doing a pregame show on ESPN Plus for the UCF basketball game, hosted by former main show host Andrew Montana. So you'll make sure to catch him there. That is it for Hitting the Field, as I mentioned. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated champs, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max.